the blow up at the White House the other day. He's sitting there with Zelensky, and Zelensky's saying, you know, I'm going to need some guarantees. I'm going to need some more money. And Trump is thinking, I have to borrow this money to give you. I don't have it. Our debt just is going to go up commensurately with every penny we give to Ukraine. So if you can divorce yourself from the moral side of this and the idea that people are dying, which is a big deal,
Right.
but I don't know that us giving any more money is going to prevent people from dying.
The question I keep asking people on the other side is, how does the war end? Tell me what makes it end, or is it going to go on forever? Are we going to have to get into a real knockdown, drag out shooting war with Russia and see where that lands? I mean, is that the answer? As Rubio said, we're not going to give Putin the Nobel Peace Prize. That we Hey, everybody, welcome back to Markets and Madness. As you know, this is the place where we discuss the madness that occurs when economics, politics, and personalities all move in different directions. Before we get started, I just want to say we've noticed a huge number of new viewers. We've been getting a lot of airplay, it seems. YouTube is pushing the shorts and the videos, and we're very appreciative of that. I'm just saying, if you're new to the channel, please subscribe, help us grow it, give us a chance, let us know what you think. I know we've gotten some comments from our posts on Saturday, and we're always looking forward to your comments and trying to get back to you as soon as we can. So with that said, politics, personalities, and economics moving in different directions. We've certainly right in the middle of that. We picked the right topics to move forward with. We've got tariffs. We've got the Ukraine blow up, Oval Office mess, Vance. There's so much to go with. We could spend 3 hours talking.
GDP now, you see that this morning?
GDP now. So what are your points in focus, Tim?
Well, the economy's slowing. I don't think if anybody's been watching us, we've been saying for about 5 or 6 weeks now, bonds are a good place to go and hide. We thought that there would be a lot of volatility, a lot of potential for volatility, tape bombs and different things coming out and all these massive influences in different directions. So that's turned out to be so, and the market's starting to respond to it. In the midst of that, the consumer has slowed down. Real estate prices are getting
Delinquencies
sticky.
are up.
Delinquencies are up, and a lot more people are facing job trepidation. They're looking and wondering whether or not they're going to have a job, and the consumer affects the consumer as well. He's pulling back his horns. So we're in a shaky period now. It's not inconsistent with what we've been saying all along. We've been using the building metaphor, that you got to take out the windows and change, we have to refurbish this economy. Trump is moving from shrinking the public sector and growing the private sector. You can shrink the public sector pretty quickly. Doge is doing that. But growing the private sector is going to take a longer time.
Mm-hmm.
And in that period, you're going to see job numbers look ugly. Consumers going to slow down. We're starting to see that now. I think that's where we are.
Yeah, across the board. This has been my fear all along. We're starting to see the dollar get hit. We're starting to see stocks get hit. We talked about it on Friday. I said that I had bought some puts and still pretty bearish. I think this, my view all along about the tariffs were that it really was just a negotiating point, and now he's thrown it out and he's making himself, island truly.
Yeah, we started the trade war today. I mean, Canada's coming back at us. Mexico's coming back at us.
I saw Doug Ford, the premier of Ontario, saying we're going to cut off electricity to certain U.S. states.
Yeah, it's going to reduce the flow.
Yeah, it's gonna be a lot of back and forth here, and none of it's good. None of it's good. I know though what Trump is long-term thinking about it, and he's had Apple come back into fold. He's had Taiwan Semiconductor come back, and there's a lot of new job opportunities coming because of these, but there's still a lot of angst throughout the rest of the world about what's going on, our stance on the Ukraine war and the tariffs. So we got to see how these play out.
Well, if we didn't have the trade deficit we have, I would say, well, this is overkill. But how can any country have a 70 to $100 billion trade deficit every month? I mean, we. I saw some statistics today. I was watching a guy on TV. He's a solid guy. I can't remember who it was. It was on Varney, and he said over a certain time period, our production is up 10%. Now, it might have been a 3-year period, might have been a 1-year period, I don't know. He said, but our consumption is up 60%. So we're importing the rest. And that's exactly and that's what happens when you just add jobs to the public sector. The government borrows the money, we spend the money. It's like the government has this giant credit card, and we've been operating for years on this credit card. And Trump is trying to cut it up and say, no, let's go to the private sector. So you really can't. It's a big adjustment, but when you have unsustainable growth, it's like an athlete who takes steroids for most of his career. At some point, he's got to come to grips with that has to end. And our model has been tax and spend, borrow and spend, but spend. And it's the government that's doing all that spending. And now we're borrowing to do it. So just to tear us into the blow up at the White House the other day, he's sitting there with Zelensky, and Zelensky's saying, I'm going to need some guarantees. I'm going to need some more money. And Trump is thinking, I have to borrow this money to give you. I don't have it. Our debt just is going to go up commensurately with every penny we give to Ukraine. So if you can divorce yourself from the moral side of this and the idea that people are dying, which is a big deal,
right.
But I don't know that us giving any more money is going to prevent people from dying.
The question I keep asking people on the other side is, how does the war end? Tell me what makes it end, or is it going to go on forever? Are we going to have to get into a real knockdown, drag-out shooting war with Russia and see where that lands? I mean, is that the answer? As Rubio said, we're not going to give Putin the Nobel Peace Prize. That we know.
Yeah. Well, a couple of things, as ugly as that blow-up was, I came away with a couple of things. We're not going to be sending any troops to Ukraine anytime soon. We're not going to put boots on the ground. So we're not getting into an Afghanistan or
Vietnam.
Vietnam, a better example.
Yeah.
So that kind of quagmire, that's out. Now, in terms of Treasury, are we going to give another 200 or 300 to Ukraine? I mean, you can say what you want about Trump. He came up with a policy. Nobody else did. Everybody's just continuing to go along. I saw an old friend of mine put something on Facebook today, and it angered me because it was negative about the meeting and about what we're doing and the economy. And I thought to myself, were you satisfied with going the way we were going? Because it was unsustainable. What part of that don't you get? That word unsustainable doesn't seem to ring true. People think we can continue to borrow forever. Right now, the interest on the debt is over $1 trillion. Treasuries came down, so it should look a little better. Can we afford $2 trillion a year in interest?
Yeah, that's certainly where it was heading. But as you say, you have to divorce yourself from the moral aspects of trying to protect that and being everybody's big brother for the last 80 years. If anybody got into a fight, well, Uncle Sugar will help. Uncle Sam's here. He's got my back. And when somebody said to me the other day, as soon as you say no in anything, it forces everyone else to change. And that's the problem. Trump said no. So not only did Zelensky have to change, but all the Europeans have to change. And every European I spoke to is angry as hell.
Yeah, but they're putting up more money. That's a win.
Yeah.
That's a win. Let me think about this. You go to work every day. You take the subway. You get out of the subway. There's a guy there with a pot, and you throw him $1 every day. And he looks at you, he smiles, and every day you throw $1 in. And one day you get up, you get out of the subway, and you don't have $1. And you walk past him. This guy's pissed off because you didn't give him his dollar, you know? And that's kind of where we are with Ukraine now.
It's mom's old line. When you're too good, you're no good.
Yeah,
You keep giving, you keep giving, you keep giving. All of a sudden, you say, "I can't." Oh, well, look at you. How can you say that?
that's right. You're an
When you
animal.
when you're too good, you're no good.
You're
It's
no
so
good.
true.
Yeah, and we've been giving to the Ukraine now for years, and Zelensky is saying, "But you have to do it. How are you going to feel if we lose?" Well, we're going to feel bad for you.
Yeah, yeah. But it seems like what I was just reading is that he's made some overtures. He wants to come to back to the White House, or he wants to sign the mineral deal. And I've saw some stuff, and I don't know how true it is, that there was a mineral deal that he signed with the UK. Have you heard that? Or
No,
is that just okay? So, I mean, I had heard that he signed the mineral deal last month with the UK. I don't know if that's true or not. I mean, I'm assuming it's not true because this game is still intact. But, he signs the mineral deal. We do have some Americans on the ground helping to dig that out. We have something to protect. We do have some guarantees there. And it forces Putin's hand not to injure those people, or else he's putting himself in an awkward position. So, I heard Vance last night. There was an interview with JD last night, and he says it's a process. It's a three-step process. First, we do this. We sign the mineral deal, and then we have the ceasefire, and then we have real negotiations how to end the war. You can't just say we're going to end it tomorrow or we're going to go on for it forever. Well, those two don't work. We have to try something new.
well, we're in the middle of it now, and the markets are really starting to come to grips with the realities. We have the tariffs in place. People were worried about inflation with the tariffs. The tariffs are depression. They're depressive. This economy will slow down. You don't get inflation unless you get stagflation, which I guess is a possibility. But you get a slowdown, that doesn't put upward pressure on prices, and tariffs will slow us down. Plus, we're at a point now where I heard somebody call it a hangover from the Biden years, and we were in the process of slowing down a couple of months ago. Consumers started to show strains, big strains of backing off. Real estate prices had peaked. So we could be in for some tough sledding here for a couple of months. And I
Yeah,
think that's what that $5,000 dividend check was all about in the end. Oh, Doge is going to save you money. We'll give you 20% of it. We'll write you a check for $5,000. Well, that's really stimulus that he thinks we need. And that's
yeah,
where
we
that's
talked
coming
about
from.
that last week.
Yeah.
But Doge is getting a lot of negative press, and now I read this morning that the Democrats are talking about a shutdown March 14th. They want to curtail what Musk is doing, and they're willing to shut down the government to do that. So we're 10 days away, 2 weeks away from a government shutdown in the middle of all of this.
Well, that's all we need.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
all we need. Yeah, that would be. There's some kind of, it's coming out of California. Somebody is launching a consumer strike. Do you hear about this?
I think that was past Friday. No buy Friday.
Yeah.
Don't buy anything. Don't buy anything. Yeah.
Talk about cutting off your nose to spite your face. We're
I
really
don't get
there.
it. Yeah. But
Well, gold has rallied.
yeah, in the midst of all of this, we said that on Friday too. Surprised gold is not way up. And the defense stocks have done better. I looked at General Dynamics. I looked at,
Natural gas is flying.
yeah.
Natural
Well,
gas is way up.
I guess if you know Trump's point a couple of years ago, he was scolding the Europeans for buying Russian oil and Russian gas, saying, "What are you doing this? You're feeding right into his hands." So the point has been that the Europeans are funding both sides of the war. They're paying Putin for the oil and gas, yet they're paying the Ukrainians to fight. So he says, well, he was laughed at for doing that. So now here it is. It's all coming to fruition. And I guess if they cut off the spigots, if the Russians cut off the spigots to Europe, I would think natural gas is going to fly. It makes sense.
Yeah, but the drillers and the carriers are not really performing.
It's a
I don't
derivative,
get that.
right? It's a derivative of that market. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a that's a concern. And I still believe in that trade. Sell the crude, sell the natural gas, buy the drillers, buy the shippers. But the market doesn't seem to believe it
But this
just
is a
now.
new element. This is a new element. If you take the Russians out of it, I guess those prices could go up.
The other thing is this rally in the bond market could be hurting the dollar. It could be a big piece of why the dollar is dropping.
Well, I think it's that and the fact that people are looking at the US as you're going to be on your own island. We don't feel comfortable investing. I've heard that from a couple of European friends. We don't
Do
feel
you think it's
comfortable.
trade related?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, 1,000 years ago, when I used to trade foreign exchange in the early years, I'm talking about the 70s and 80s, the trade figures were the prime motivator,
Absolutely. Yep. I
you know?
remember.
And now he's changing that trade account. So maybe we're a year away from that too, or 6 months away from feeling the effect of that. There's J curve effects all over these things here.
Yeah.
It's a
What did you say the
wild
trade
time.
figures? Then it was money supply and business loans, right? Those Friday at Thursday at 410. Those were the big numbers that came
That's
out.
right. And I was going to name my daughter M1A because she was born on the money supply day. M1A, M1B. We still haven't figured out what the hell money is. That's a good topic, you know. I
Yeah.
mean, what is money? I would argue that an Amazon gift card is money, right? I
Yeah.
mean, when we started looking at money in the 80s, when Volcker started to contract the money supply, they had to figure out what the hell money was. And they said, well, you know, demand deposits in banks, sure, that's money. But what about money market funds, money market mutual funds? That's money too, right? And they said, yeah, okay, let's call that M1A or M1B, or all these categories for money. And now Bitcoin is money,
Yeah.
you know? So
Especially
I don't know
since
what the hell money is. And what does the Fed control? What part of money does the Fed control now? So this world has changed quite a bit.
yeah. Yeah. Every day, because you mentioned Bitcoin, and now we're talking about crypto reserves,
Yeah,
and Bitcoin flew up on that, and it completely reversed, it was right back down.
82.
Yeah, it was up at 96, I think, yesterday, or something close to that, and now it's back down. So it
It's
had
in
a
the 80s. There was a rumor. I don't know if this is a place to repeat a rumor, but last week somebody told me that the North Koreans broke into a Bitcoin
yeah,
account
you had
and
mentioned that
stole
to me.
1.5 billion Bitcoin. I haven't seen anything about that, but Bitcoin's been under pressure since then.
Yeah,
Maybe that spooked some people.
but yeah, I mean, you add Bitcoin as a crypto reserves, which are a wild card. I don't know where that's going to lead us. How is he going to accumulate? I've read some things this morning that yeah, he's giving the people an opportunity to the government's going to buy the expensive stuff and keep it in the vault. You know, you have that, you have the tariffs, you have the war.
You have the Sovereign Wealth Fund,
Yeah, sovereign
which
wealth
is a
fund
huge wild card. What the hell
last
goes to
week, and
that?
now that's completely out of the
Nobody's
headline.
talked about that anymore, right?
That was a game changer completely, and now it's off the headlines.
Yeah. There are so many variables here. I don't think I've ever seen this many major. Every one is a plastic explosive that has the ability to blow the market 10% either way.
And I read the left, and they're saying this is all an attempt by Clinton to shrink the government, to grab power, to be in control forever.
Clinton, did you say?
I'm Clinton, I'm sorry, but Trump. Yeah, Trump to grab power and be in control forever and not take over the government. I got to dismiss that.
Well, I predict that we're going to have a new round of Russia, Russia, Russia.
But
It's
yeah,
going to start all over again now. We're back to that. And that was so detrimental to our relationship.
I saw a piece this morning, and it was a Clinton comment. That's why it was on my brain, talking about Putin, saying I trust Vladimir Putin. I guess this was 92 or 93.
Bush said that too.
Meme said when Clinton says it, he's a diplomat. When Trump says it, he's a puppet.
Bush said he looked into his soul
Yeah,
after 9/11. That? Listen, I'm sure Trump doesn't trust him as far as he can throw him. But that's not really, we know where he's at. and he's got a lot more cards than Putin than Zelensky.
Yeah.
I don't know how Zelensky's going to continue to fight this war. I mean, he'll fight to the last European dollar, I guess.
I keep asking everyone, how does it end?
It
Tell
ends at the
me.
last euro because he's seen the last
Yeah,
dollar now.
I guess. I can't figure out, are you going to really is the Ukraine and Europe going to take out Russia, where Russia's going to back off and step away?
Okay, let's assume that that doesn't happen because Russia has nukes. So if you assume that that's not going to happen, then the next stop is a war of attrition. And they don't have any more bodies.
Conscripting people, taking them off the
They're
streets.
drafting people at 45 years old. What are they going to? The Russians don't either, by the way. They're putting North Koreans on the front. I guess they got a lot more of them. If the Europeans step up and start to put some money into Ukraine, more money into Ukraine, England says they're going to put boots on the ground and planes in the air now. I don't know if he really means that because that sounds good originally. I keep flashing back to what this country was like after 9/11. Everybody was gung ho.
Hmm.
After about 2 years, all of a sudden, Afghanistan was a dirty word, and Bush's popularity went down, and Obama was a reaction to Bush, and Trump was a reaction to Obama. And then
Yeah,
we had Biden as a reaction to Trump, and now we got Trump as a reaction. This is a reactive government. I mean, we vote against somebody. We don't really vote for somebody.
reactive politics, reactionary politics.
Well,
That's
that's the other thing. We don't believe in preventive maintenance on any level as human beings. We don't take care of our bodies. We only go to the doctor when we need to. Our economy is a reactive rather than proactive economy. We wait till things break before we start to fix them. And it seems so odd for somebody, a major politician, to actually start to take steps to put things right. And we're just not used to it.
right. And tonight it's not the State of the Union, but it's his speech to the joint session, right?
Yeah.
God knows what's going to come out.
What do you think is going to happen there? I predict that at least five of them walk out in the middle of a speech.
Well, I saw something where the Democrats said every lawmaker should bring a guest that's been fired by Doge.
Yeah, they're going to try to do that.
They really want to stop Elon at every cost. And I don't know. I think he's got a solution. I think there is government waste. I think there is fraud and corruption. I saw the interview that he did with Joe Rogan. I watched that the other night. Did you see it?
No.
It
Who,
was three
Trump or
hours.
Musk?
Musk and Joe Rogan. It was 3 hours. Talked a lot about space and aliens and stuff. But he asked them about the Social Security. He says there's 22 million dead people in Social Security rolls. So Rogan said, "Are they all getting money?" He says, "No, I don't think so." He says, "But this is the bank shot because when you go to file for another form of government aid, they look and see if you have a Social Security number, if it's valid. So if you have a live Social Security, oh yeah, well we'll pay you from this agency." He said it's a bank shot. Social Security's not paying them, but somebody was able to get a real card. And I thought, wow, that's interesting.
Hmm. Yeah, and you could vote with that card, get a license.
Right. You may not
That's
get money
another
from Social
thing.
Security.
That's another thing with the employment numbers. How many migrants were working that are blown out of the country now before they get deported?
Yeah, yeah.
And the more you think about this, the more permutations show up that have market implications here. It's such a crazy time. I noticed the VIX is up in the 20s again, right?
I didn't follow. I
I
didn't look.
thought I saw 24. We were like 16 last week. Volatility premiums are really starting to bang out.
I think that's a trade that I missed. I haven't traded the VIX in a long time, but I think that was an opportunity. It probably still is because anything can happen. We've had 2 days in a row where we're down 700 points, right?
Yeah.
And Friday we were up 600. So, by all rights, there is a lot of volatility in this market, and I think it's going to continue.
In
I
so
am
many
just,
markets too.
yeah, I'm just frightened. I think we could have a 20% move down in the equity markets, and people are going to point fingers. We started in November and October talking about Trump is the stock market president. Trump's the stock market president, and everybody bought with both hands. And I don't think they're prepared for it now. I think we got, you know, I
Well,
don't, those people have
let's
deep
just
pockets.
let's just reason this out. Right now, Canada and Mexico have to take a stand. They can't just ignore what's happened on the tariffs. So they're going to make ugly noises until they come to some kind of settlement. And the first reaction is, you're no good, and we're going to do this to you. And we're announcing this. And all of a sudden, they're going to start to look at the implications of what a real serious trade war is. And they'll come to grips. It's like two guys in a schoolyard looking at each other thinking, you know what, I could lose some teeth here. I'm not so sure I want to get into this. But that's where we are, you know.
Yeah.
And Trump has said the status quo is not good. We have to do something about the status quo. Now, here's the thing. If you are telling a country, like in Latin America somewhere, you're telling them, okay, I'm going to tariff you. And I expect we have a lot of different industries, a myriad of industries. You go to a Latin American or a small country, it's a one-horse town or a two-horse town. And you ask him to give up that horse, that's a big deal. They just can't do it. They can't because it means I can't cut out my banana industry. It's my whole industry. You're telling me you're going to tariff me my banana exports because I'm tariffing you on banana. That's everybody. I face a revolution if I do something like that. So now Trump, the deal maker, is going to say, all right, well, what can you do for me? Can you do something for me here? And that's how he got to the raw earth, the raw materials with Ukraine.
Well, he had that conversation with Trudeau because Trudeau said we'll be done. We won't be a country. Okay, well then you could be a governor.
Yeah, well, he really didn't have that conversation. The conversation should be like, what can you do for me from Ottawa?
Right.
You know, right?
Right. But what he said was, all right, you could be the 51st state, and I don't think that went over well. That wasn't the negotiation that people were looking at.
No, you could hear Trudeau's gulp all the way across.
Yeah. Yeah, and with Mexico, I think I saw, was it late last week that they sent back a number of members of the cartels.
Yeah,
So the
and
people are coming in line.
that's one of the levers,
Right,
fentanyl,
right.
and what's going on at the border. That's clearly two places they could step up. With Canada, I think it's cars. Cars are the big piece of it.
But they don't allow U.S. banks in Canada.
Yeah, that's right.
Right?
They had suitcase banks. I don't know if they still do.
Yeah, I remember those. Having those little. It's a completely different credit line.
Yeah,
Some of the banks
yeah,
that we used to deal with way back when.
yeah. Canada's financially has been very protectionist. At least that's the only place I have familiarity, and they were protectionist there. I heard Trump say cars once. That that was the whole deal with Canada. Dairy is a big deal, and energy. I mean,
Lumber.
they're a huge trading partner. There's no doubt about it. Canada and Mexico are a big piece of the puzzle. But it's so distorted right now. U.S. consumers are buying so much of their goods, and they're just not buying any of our goods. So, do you live with the status quo or do you change it? Status quo can't go on forever.
Right. And as I said, once you tell somebody no, it forces them to change, and they're not happy about
You're stepping out of the subway and not giving a guy the dollar. That's
it. Yes,
really what's
that's right.
happening.
That's right. And that becomes the problem. So,
Okay.
so we're still negative on the equity markets. I'm negative on the dollar, positive on gold, positive on defense stocks, and positive on bonds overall. Yields continue to at least stay where they are or move lower. And we may
Yeah.
even see short-term stuff like this. People
What's
are
the
talking about
trade with what's your strongest conviction trade?
strongest conviction trade is stocks down.
Mine is bonds up, yields down.
Yeah, and we may see a Fed cut. People start talking about Fed cuts in the next two meetings.
Well, the numbers are going to start to look bad.
Yeah,
If I'm on the government payroll, and there are a lot of people on the government payroll, we're wondering how close the axe is going to fall. Even if we think we're safe, we're still not sure we're safe.
As I said earlier, what happens if they do shut the government down? I mean, the Democrats are strong. They are unified. They are unified, and they're making all sorts of overtures. Like, we're not going to let this happen.
And they'll do anything
Normally,
to make Trump look bad, too.
yeah, and normally it's about they want more spending. Now they want Doge stopped, which I guess in a sense is more spending or at least the same.
Continued
But
spending.
yeah, continued spending, and that's going to be a problem.
Yeah, we got something to look forward to. It's going to be a busy week.
Yeah, certainly is. All right. Well, sounds good. Once again, everyone, please subscribe. Send us your comments. Let us know your thoughts. Ring the bell. Get some new content when it comes out, and we appreciate your support. Thanks, everyone.
Bye bye.